Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going deep into data vault modeling.
Yeah, it's a really hot topic in data management these days, and uh, and for good reason.
Yeah, if you're struggling with mountains of data, keeping it organized, or if you want to really unlock the power of AI, data vault might be the answer.
It very well could be, and we're gonna, bust some myths along the way.
Okay.
You might think this is just for the big companies, but we've got stories about how Data Vault is changing businesses of all sizes.
Oh, wow.
I mean, imagine like a small computer repair shop using the same kind of data management as like a global bank.
Okay. I'm intrigued. So where do we even start?
Well, let's start with the foundation. Data Vault modeling is building a data warehouse that's like super structured, auditable, like a historical record of your business. You know,
Uh,
every change is captured, so you can basically go back in time through your data.
it's like a time machine for your data.
Exactly.
But-
Super valuable for like auditing, compliance, even understanding how your business has changed over time.
Hmm.
The core building blocks are hubs, links, and satellites.
Okay, those sound familiar. I remember vaguely reading about those somewhere.
Okay, well, imagine you're building a data vault model for that computer repair shop we talked about.
Mhm.
The hubs would be the core things they work with, like the customers, the computers, the different types of repairs.
Okay, so the hubs are like the nouns of the model.
Right. And then the links show the relationships between those hubs.
Okay.
So a customer brings in a computer for a specific type of repair. Those connections are your links.
Got it.
Now, the satellites, think of those as all the details that can change over time.
Okay.
So for the computer, it might be the model, the operating system, the specs.
Uh-huh.
For a customer, it could be their contact info.
Okay.
For a repair, it might be the cost or the parts used. All those details live in the satellites.
So it's like building with Legos.
Yeah,
Each brick is a piece of data, and you connect them in specific ways to make a whole model of the business.
that's a great way to think about it. And here's where Data Vault gets really powerful. As the computer repair shop grows and changes, their Data Vault model can easily adapt.
Oh, wow.
They just add new hubs, links, and satellites to reflect those changes without having to rebuild the whole thing.
So no more like ripping and replacing your entire data warehouse every time something changes.
Exactly. You've got a solid foundation that can grow with your business. And this adaptability is a key reason why Data Vault is gaining traction, even in industries that have traditionally been slow to adopt new data management approaches.
Okay, well, that brings us back to the computer repair shop example you mentioned. They were able to work with a larger global brand thanks to Data Vault. How did that work? Wouldn't a simpler database solution have been enough for a small business like that?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Hmm.
See, the global brand had strict data management standards,
Uh-huh.
including compliance with GDPR, which the repair shop needed to meet in order to partner with them.
Okay.
Data Vault, with its focus on auditability and historical tracking, was actually the perfect solution.
So Data Vault helped them level up their data game and meet those requirements.
Exactly. But it did even more than that.
Really?
The structured data also gave them insights into their own operation.
Oh, wow.
They could see which repairs were most common, which parts they use most often, even identify trends in customer issues. This helped them streamline their processes and make smarter business decisions.
Wow. So Data Vault wasn't just a box-ticking exercise for compliance. It actually helped them improve their business. I'm starting to see why people are so excited about this.
Absolutely, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. We've got even more fascinating, real-world applications to delve into. For instance, did you know some banks are using Data Vault to analyze Bitcoin transactions?
Wait, Bitcoin? That sounds incredibly complex. How does that even work?
Yeah, it might sound futuristic, but it's happening right now.
Wow.
The immutable nature of blockchain transactions aligns perfectly with Data Vault's emphasis on historical tracking and auditability.
So they're basically tracing the flow of Bitcoin through the system, looking for patterns, and maybe even detecting fraud.
You got it. And because Data Vault is designed to handle huge volumes of data, it can easily keep up with the sheer scale of blockchain transactions.
That's mind-blowing, and I'm guessing there are even more applications out there, right?
Oh yeah, there's another great example, a company using blockchain technology to track their supply chain.
Yeah.
They integrated that data into their existing Data Vault warehouse.
Okay, back up at the supply chain. Blockchain. What were they tracking exactly?
Think about it. They wanted to create a secure and transparent record of where their products came from and how they moved through the supply chain.
Okay.
It's all about ensuring authenticity and knowing exactly where everything comes from.
So like a digital trail for every product makes sense in today's world, but how did Data Vault fit into all of this?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting. Data Vault provided the ideal framework to integrate the blockchain data,
Hmm.
which is all about tracking changes over time with their existing business data. This created a single source of truth for all their operations.
So it's like Data Vault is the bridge between traditional data management and these cutting-edge technologies.
Exactly. And that's just scratching the surface. Data Vault's flexibility and adaptability make it a game changer in today's rapidly evolving data landscape.
I can see that.
But before we go any further, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back to explore how Data Vault fits into the bigger picture of data management.
Okay, we're back and ready to dive deeper into Data Vault.
Yeah.
We've seen some really cool examples, but I'm also feeling a little overwhelmed.
Yeah, I get that.
Data Vault seems pretty complex.
It can be, yeah, especially when you start thinking about how it fits into the, constantly changing world of data management.
Right, there are so many new terms popping up like data lakes, data lakehouses, data hubs, data mesh.
Right.
It's hard to keep up. How does Data Vault even relate to all of that?
Well, don't worry, it's not as chaotic as it seems. The good news is that Data Vault principles aren't limited to just one type of architecture.
Okay,
They can be applied across all those different approaches you mentioned.
so whether you're building a data lake or a data lakehouse or even a data mesh, Data Vault can provide that underlying structure and auditability.
That's right. It's like having a universal toolkit for managing your data.
Hmm.
And with the rise of AI and machine learning, Data Vault's structured approach is becoming even more crucial.
Yeah, I've heard a lot about how AI and machine learning are changing everything.
Right.
But how exactly does Data Vault fit into that picture?
Well, AI and machine learning are all about finding patterns and relationships in data, right?
Yeah.
But for those algorithms to work their magic, they need clean, reliable data. That's where Data Vault really shines.
So it's like Data Vault is laying the groundwork for successful AI and machine learning initiatives. You're not just throwing any old data at the problem, you're feeding it with high-quality, trustworthy information.
Precisely. And that can make a huge difference for businesses looking to use AI for things like predictive analytics, personalized recommendations, even automating complex processes.
Wow, okay, that makes sense. But I'm also curious about the practical side of things. Implementing Data Vault sounds like a big undertaking. What are some of the challenges people face in the real world?
That's a great question. And you're right, it's not always a smooth ride. One of the biggest challenges is getting input from subject matter experts. Those people who really understand the business processes and data relationships.
Yeah, I can imagine that those experts are already super busy with their day-to-day work.
Right.
It must be tough to get them to focus on a Data Vault project.
Exactly. And if we step back and look at the bigger picture,
Uh-huh.
it highlights the need for really strong collaboration between the business and IT teams. You need to bridge the gap between those who understand the data and those who are building the Data Vault model.
So how do you actually make that happen? How do you get those experts to share their knowledge effectively?
Well, there's some practical strategies you can use. One is to schedule dedicated workshops or interviews with the SMEs. This gives them a structured time to share their insights and really explain their understanding of the data.
And I'm guessing it's not a one and done kind of thing. You need to keep checking back to make sure the model is on track, right?
Absolutely. You need to create a feedback loop, going back to the SMEs, to validate the model and make sure it aligns with their needs and the overall business requirements.
Speaking of requirements, that's another area where things can get tricky.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard stories about projects getting bogged down in gathering and refining those requirements.
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. Sometimes those requirements are vague, sometimes they contradict each other, and sometimes they even change halfway through the project.
So how do you navigate that? It sounds like herding cats.
Well, you've got to be agile and adaptable. One technique we've found to be super helpful is prototyping.
Prototyping? Like building a smaller version of the Data Vault model to test things out.
Exactly. Building a prototype early on allows you to get feedback from the business stakeholders and iron out any kinks before you invest too much time in the full-blown model.
That makes a lot of sense. It's better to catch those issues early on rather than having to go back and redo everything later. But what happens as the Data Vault model grows and evolves, I can imagine it becoming really complex over time.
Yeah, that's another important question. As you add more data and business processes, you need to be really mindful of managing that complexity. Otherwise, it can easily turn into a tangled mess that's difficult to understand and maintain.
So how do you keep things organized and under control? It sounds like You need a whole system in place just to manage the model itself.
You're right, governance is absolutely crucial. You need clear standards, naming conventions, and documentation to ensure that everyone is on the same page.
Okay, that makes sense. But even with all that in place, wouldn't it be helpful to have some kind of visual representation of the model?
Absolutely. Investing in tooling that allows you to visualize the model, identify dependencies, and track changes over time is incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
It makes it much easier to understand the big picture and spot potential issues.
Okay, so we've got governance and tooling. What else is important for managing complexity?
Communication is key. You need to establish clear lines of communication between everyone involved. The modelers, the developers, the business stakeholders, everyone needs to be on the same page to prevent silos and ensure that the model is meeting the needs of the business.
With all this talk about change and complexity, I can't help but think about the human element. People are often resistant to change, especially when it comes to new technologies or ways of working.
You're absolutely right. It's natural to encounter some resistance when implementing Data Vault, especially if it requires teams to learn new skills or change their established processes.
So how do you address that? How do you get everyone on board with Data Vault?
The key is to be proactive and address those concerns head on, focus on the benefits of Data Vault, and demonstrate how it can improve data quality, increase agility, and ultimately make everyone's lives easier.
But it's not just about talking about the benefits, right? You need to provide the support and training necessary for people to feel comfortable with the new approach.
Exactly. Investing in training and providing ongoing support is essential. And don't forget to celebrate those early wins, showcasing the positive outcomes of Data Vault can create a sense of momentum and encourage buy-in.
So it's all about bringing people along on the journey and showing them the value of Data Vault.
Precisely. Change management is a crucial part of any successful Data Vault implementation.
Before we move on, there's one more aspect I'd like to touch on: GDPR and data privacy.
Uh-huh.
We talked earlier about how Data Vault helped that computer repair shop meet compliance requirements, but I'm curious to hear more about that.
That's a great point, and it's becoming increasingly important in today's data-driven world. Data Vault can actually be a powerful ally in meeting those compliance requirements.
Okay, I'm all ears. How does Data Vault help with things like GDPR?
Well, GDPR and other data privacy regulations are all about protecting personal information and giving individuals more control over their data,
All
right?
right.
Data Vault's structured approach and focus on auditability can really help with that.
So because Data Vault tracks every change and provides a clear audit trail, it's easier to demonstrate compliance with those regulations.
Exactly. You can clearly identify and isolate personal data, making it easier to respond to data subject requests like the right to be forgotten or to demonstrate that you're handling sensitive data responsibly.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's not just about managing data, it's about managing it ethically and responsibly.
That's a great way to put it. Data Vault isn't just a technical solution, it's a framework for building a data-driven culture that prioritizes data privacy and compliance.
This has been incredibly insightful. We've covered so much ground, from the nuts and bolts of Data Vault modeling to its role in the evolving data landscape and the importance of addressing real-world challenges. But what does this all mean for our listener? How can they take these insights and apply them to their own data challenges?
That's the key question, isn't it? We've seen how Data Vault can help organizations of all sizes manage those ever-growing mountains of data, maintain data quality, and adapt to new technologies. But it's not just about the technology itself.
It's about changing the way we think about data management.
Exactly. Data Vault is a mindset shift. It's about building a solid foundation for data management that can adapt to the ever-changing needs of your business. It's about moving fast in today's data world, but also moving with confidence, knowing that your data is accurate, reliable, and secure.
And remember, Data Vault isn't a set it and forget it solution. It's an ongoing journey of continuous improvement.
That's right. Embrace the iterative process, engage your stakeholders, and always be on the lookout for ways to enhance your data management practices.
We've talked a lot about the technical aspects of Data Vault, but one thing that really stands out to me is the emphasis on communication and collaboration.
Absolutely. You can't build a successful Data Vault implementation in isolation. It requires a team effort involving data engineers, business analysts, subject matter experts, and everyone in between.
And it's not just about getting everyone in the same room, it's about fostering a culture of data literacy across the organization. Everyone needs to understand the value of data and their role in managing it responsibly.
That's a crucial point. Data literacy is becoming increasingly important in today's world. Another key takeaway is the importance of agility and adaptability.
Yeah, that's for sure. The data landscape is constantly evolving with new technologies and new challenges emerging all the time.
Right. And Data Vault, with its structured yet flexible approach, provides the adaptability you need to stay ahead of the curve. You can embrace new technologies like AI and machine learning without compromising on data quality or auditability.
So Data Vault isn't just a modeling technique, it's a strategic enabler for data-driven innovation.
Exactly. It's about empowering organizations to unlock the true potential of their data and make better decisions faster.
As we wrap up this part of our deep dive, we encourage you to think about how Data Vault can help you address your own data challenges. What resonated with you? What questions are swirling in your mind?
Explore these concepts further and see how they might apply to your own unique situation. Remember, the world of data is full of possibilities. And with Data Vault as your guide, you can navigate those possibilities with confidence and clarity.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We're wrapping up our exploration of Data Vault, and I've learned a lot.
Yeah, me too. It's been a really interesting conversation.
It has. So we've covered like a ton of ground from like the basics of how to do data vault modeling to like how it fits into like the whole world of data.
Right.
We talked about challenges, solutions, all the techie stuff, and even like the human side of putting data vault into practice. But before we go, I kind of want to bring it all together for our listener. Like, what does it all mean for them? How can they actually use all this information?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen how Data Vault can help all kinds of businesses, from that tiny computer repair shop to those big banks dealing with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's about building a really strong foundation for managing data in a way that's adaptable, reliable, and future-proof.
Yeah, one of the things that really stuck with me was this idea of changing how we think about data.
Yeah,
It's not just about new techniques, it's like a whole new way of approaching data management.
totally agree. Data Vault makes us think about data as like this valuable thing that needs to be organized, protected, and used to learn stuff.
Yeah.
It's about moving fast, but also being confident that your data is accurate and you can trust it.
Right. And that confidence comes from the core ideas behind Data Vault, like auditability, historical tracking, and being able to adapt. We can see every change, understand how our data's changed over time, and easily handle new requirements or technologies.
It's like having a solid base when everything around you is changing. And that's especially important now with things like AI and machine learning changing everything so fast.
Yeah, we talked about how Data Vault can actually help those technologies by giving them the clean, reliable data they need to work. It's not just about like throwing a bunch of data at the problem, it's about giving those algorithms good, trustworthy information.
And as we move more and more into this world of AI, that well-organized, well-managed data is going to be even more important.
Another thing that really hit home for me was how important communication and collaboration are during that whole Data Vault process.
Oh, absolutely.
Sure.
It's not a one-person job. You got to bring together data engineers, business analysts, those subject matter experts, everyone. It's about breaking down those walls between teams and creating a culture where everyone understands data across the whole organization.
Yeah, that shared understanding of data and how important it is super crucial for success. And it's not just about the technical stuff, it's about building relationships, being open with each other, and making sure everyone's on the same page with the project goals.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
It's a team effort where you need to constantly talk to each other, give feedback, and be willing to learn and adapt as you go.
And we can't forget about data privacy and compliance.
Right.
Data Vault, because it focuses on keeping track of changes and having a history. It's a really powerful tool for meeting those requirements, especially now with things like GDPR.
It's not just about managing data. It's about doing it responsibly and ethically. And Data Vault gives you the tools to do that.
So, to wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with one last thought. Data Vault is more than just a technical fix. It's a journey of always getting better. It's about thinking differently, building a strong base, and being ready for the ever-changing world of data.
And remember, you don't need to have all the answers right away. It's about asking the right questions, trying things out, doing things again and again, and constantly improving how you do things.
So what really clicked with you? What made you curious? We encourage you to dig deeper into these ideas and see how they fit into your own data challenges.
Whether you're a data pro or just starting out, there's something here for you.
The world of data is full of possibilities, and with Data Vault as your guide, you can explore those possibilities with confidence.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Data Vault. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.